That's right.
It was go-outers last night, and they just gave up on me.
Good evening. Welcome everybody to the Recreation Parks Advisory Committee meeting. We do have a quorum. I'd like to call the meeting to order. First thing of business is the approval of the agenda. Has everyone had a chance to read over it? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. The approval of minutes, January 25th, 2016. I think everyone's had a chance to go over that, look at it.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Member presentations of ideas for Landing Welcome Center. You want me to, I'll start on that. I went and I visited the tourist center, and I met Kristen. Her last name is Schuette, Chouette, I think. I hope I didn't mess that up too bad. Anyway, she was very positive. Enjoyed talking to her, and they're really looking forward to working with us or on their tourist board, their advisory board. And she was very excited. I do not know whether you want to have somebody or recommend to the council that they have somebody manned there at the this Welcome Center proposal, or if you would not have somebody there. It's not like on I-95 or I-40.
Right.
It's a little bit different. Of course, at the tourist center, they had, all the pamphlets and everything. So they probably know a lot more than we do as far as how that should be set up. That's my impression. But I got the opinion, which was very positive, that anything that they want to be in on, and we help them or they help us, really doesn't matter. That this is a good idea, and they're all in, and they would be willing to, very supportive. Yes, sir.
Bill, I guess, a fundamental question is, do we want this to be an information center? Or do we want to do any retail stuff out of it? I made a list of some things, besides info and maps: fishing licenses, tackle, bait, life jackets, light snacks, drinks, ice. And I'm not sure we want to get into the retail business, and that leads to another question. Would the city consider maybe leasing this to somebody to do that type of stuff, and then have this info center as an aside? They could either grab your own pamphlet, or the person manning it could answer questions, or Chamber of Commerce could send somebody back there.
Right. And this is just in the talking stage.
Sure.
There's nothing
How far advanced it is.
Well, I think that's part of what we asked from you, is to
Yeah.
bring back suggestions. So, there's,
Yeah,
I
that's
don't think
totally
anything's
right,
off
yeah.
the table. I think right now it's all, we throw it on the wall, let's see what sticks as we
Right.
move forward
That sounds good.
with these sort of things.
Those are just thoughts.
Sure.
Right.
What we want to do. I'm not sure we want to get in the retail business, because that implies an employee, inventory.
Sure.
And I'm not sure, but if you put this on somebody that would come in and lease this, or give us a percentage of sales, that might be an alternative way to go.
It's a valid idea, very good
And
idea.
that's, you had a lot of good ideas. Of course, the city manager basically said that, just get some ideas. That was our homework assignment, I
Right.
think. And does anybody else have anything that?
No, I had pretty much the same thing that Mr. Wheeler had. I didn't think about the fishing license, though.
Okay, any other discussion about that?
My,
Go
my,
ahead, Tom.
my question was whether this would become say we had an event, some type of fishing event. Is this the type of area where we would bring people in to like weigh fish and tally things? And, if we're gonna do something like that, we may need to go into consideration when we design what we end up doing there. That was the only thing that I had some input
I
from
think
people.
Dr. Woodruff had mentioned that it would be a nice, gathering point. So the design would be one that we would consider an area for gathering either before a tournament or awards or something along those lines. So I think you're speaking to something that he'd already thought about too. So good point.
Anything else? Okay. The director's report, new business, old business.
Would you like me to start?
Sure.
Well, real quickly, let me remind everyone, Wednesday, April 6th is the volunteer dinner. If you haven't RSVP, please do so with Carmen, right?
Yes.
Please do so with Carmen. Let's not forget that. It's our opportunity to thank you for what you're doing and taking your time out of your busy schedules to be a part of things like this. We can't thank you enough, and it's a good chance for our council to do the same. That being said, in the life of parks right now, weather is driving a lot of things for us. Grass is growing, weeds are growing. We have brought in some of our temporary help, which is a little abnormal for this time of year because it's a little early. We're at least a week early. We've tried to manage some of the mowing the last week or so, and we just can't do it. Things are growing a little faster than normal, and we've started mowing full scale right now. In a bigger picture, the Georgetown Trail, the asphalt has been, initially, the asphalt has been put down. If you haven't had the opportunity to go by there, please do so. The asphalt is down. I don't know that it's of the final grade, but just with the asphalt down, to see that picture of it,
Is it right in front of the animal shelter?
it is.
Yeah.
But it literally is the length of the park from front to back. And I got to tell you, excuse me, we hear the trail and we saw drawings of the trail. For me personally, seeing the trail was a big difference than what I heard and saw in a drawing. It's very nice out there, and especially the connectivity now to the neighborhood next to the cemetery. That's really a nice area now, and very excited about that. I will also let you know that our Parks Division is hosting a maintenance workshop tomorrow, and we have about 24 people coming from out of town to be part of our workshop, and the vendor who we purchased our outdoor exercise equipment will be in town, and we will actually get some of their input tomorrow as to where they feel is the best places to put the 9 pieces that we purchased for the trail, the outdoor exercise equipment. So we'll kind of lay out some groundwork on where the best spots would be for that based off their history. They're a little bit, obviously this is the first time they've had outdoor exercise equipment, so we would like their input on that. For us, other than mowing, we are landscaping. One of the things two things that we finished up since we've last seen you is our public safety facility. The building is finished landscaping. If you haven't had the opportunity, or if you've ridden by there, I'm very proud of the work that was done through our horticulturalists and the landscaping staff. It looks very good over there. Very pleased with that, and we were also able to utilize some funding from NCDOT to do some of the work over at Public Services. Maybe Jim has seen that. I'm not sure if he hasn't. We have softened that side up. Now, from an outsider's perspective, it's flowers and landscaping and all that. We always work with the end result being maintenance friendly. So I would tell you at public safety alone, we cut over an hour's worth of time of maintenance off of that through the work we've done. Again, over the life of the public safety building, that's a major savings. Same thing at Public Services, where we were mowing all these small areas that required maintenance. We were able to do some landscaping in them. Over the long haul, we saved an hour and a half worth of maintenance time over there on a weekly basis. That, again, over the long haul is going to, the city's going to win in that, and that's a good move for everybody. Plus, it looks better. Other than that, I wish Steve was here. I would like to report we have purchased a slide for Northeast Creek Park. It is a short-term remedy to a solution at the park that I hope moving forward over the next couple of years we'll be able to solve. Northeast Creek is, that's the original playground equipment that was installed there in the mid to late 80s. It has lived a very good and profitable life for the city, but there is a need for an upgrade over there. And while the slide is nice, it doesn't solve all the problems, and moving forward we'll be focusing on one piece of that at Northeast Creek. Other than that, I'll let Susan talk about the splash pad and where we're at there.
Yeah, we have a couple of updates for you, and then I'll address the inquiry that we had from Steve. We have some great projects coming online. He mentioned Georgetown, but I'll give you an update. The splash pad is coming along fabulously. They have free-formed where the concrete's going to go, and then they're going to pour that, I would expect, hopefully this week. They've gotten all of the pipes in, the water and sewers hooked up, so it's moving along wonderfully. We're working on, all of the things the staff needs to do to prepare to open that. We've had several members get certified as certified pool operators. That is a requirement that the state requires us to have. So we're getting there. Hopefully we will be seamless come opening day, but we expect a nice large crowd. But we're very excited about the splash pad. So we're moving forward on that. The other thing we'll give you an update on is, for those of you here, we had a good meeting on the input from the marina and the folks that came out. Some of them either lived adjacent or they were citizens, users groups. We wanted to hear all of their feedback. We got some really good feedback, and so we'll be taking that back. That feedback and the meeting was part of our grant requirement for PARTIF and for CAMA. For those of you who don't know, we're applying for 2 grants. We are really excited about our opportunity to leverage the CAMA for the PARTIF, and the timing is going to work out really nicely because PARTIF is due within the next month, and then CAMA will be due by the end of August. So hopefully we'll apply for both of those, and then we'll find out about both of those, and then the timing of them will be really nice coinciding so that we can leverage those and get some nice things started out at the marina. Other than that, working on that project, just so you know, we'll be offering some kayak and some stand-up paddleboard rentals out of the facility this summer. He'll be moving the equipment in there this upcoming month, and they'll be ready to go right before Memorial Day weekend. Other than that, we're working on infrastructure, some just immediate needs with the restrooms. We've demolished the interior restrooms. They were not accessible by any stretch of the imagination. And so we've demolished that in-house, and we'll be rebuilding the restrooms. We'll be doing some cleanup efforts. We'll be working on signage. We'll be working on aesthetics. We're going to get it as best as we can for our expectations on a quick turnaround, but it'll look better hopefully by the time summer starts. If not during summer, it'll be more appealing to the citizens, let them know it's open to the public to utilize, obviously, to launch their canoes and kayaks or stand-up paddle boards. We are not going to have the I should say, access to the ramp, or the access, I should say, to the marina portion of it open so the public can just go walking and going in there. So the fence will be coming down. That metal fence around the building will come down, but not until we have another one securing everything that kind of the property line as far as the bulkhead and the boards out there now, because it's structurally not where we need it to be a public facility. We want to maintain safety as our number one thing. So we're getting there. We're fortunate that we have it, and we're excited about the opportunities. But we'll be moving forward. So Amanda's been working hard on that grant and moving forward with that. So thank you, Amanda. And we'll keep you posted for sure as soon as we apply for that. And we get that in, we'll certainly let you know. Other than that, we have youth sports. So registration has finished. We've let everybody know. Parents are getting notified from coaches, and games will actually start in the next couple of weeks. So you'll see lots of T-ballers, baseball, softball, all of that going on in all of our facilities here in the next couple of weeks. It's that time of year. So spring break is this week. We offer a program at the Commons Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 6. That's going well. It's getting it's full. So we're happy about that. All of our egg hunts went well. They were last weekend, not this past weekend, but the weekend before Easter. We try to get ahead of the rush there on Easter weekend, and we had a nice turnout on that. And then, okay, so I think that's pretty much it from the recreation standpoint. I wanted to follow up. Mr. Hinkle had an inquiry to us this past month, and he had noticed that we had done some work at the ball field, so I appreciated him observing that we were getting some work done to our ball fields. It was done in-house. We had a really bad drainage issue at the adult ball field at Northeast Creek. So we went in and we did some really nice inside job with our engineering department and said, okay, what can we do to alleviate? Because the issue with drainage is, while it's drainage right now, it really causes an issue with your play on the field. You know, you either have to cancel more games, and it can be sun shining right now, and you have to cancel a game because the field is wet. People don't always appreciate the fact that it's sunny, but yet they can't play. So that's an issue. And then obviously keeping up the field. When it's wet and it's saturated, your clay is going to go here. You can't keep your grass. I mean, there's a domino effect when you have poor drainage on the field, and those fields have been there for many, many years. So we were able to in-house, and I say in-house, I give Michael and his team all of the credit because they did it in-house. Basically, we dug up, and feel free to correct me, we basically dug up around the dugouts. He put in some drainage, a screen, and then backfilled it with porous fill, and then we put our brick chips back on top and then clay back on top. Scott Perozzi built a wall because we didn't want to adjust the dugouts too much. We didn't obviously want to do but so much work and demolish our dugouts, but we had to get in front of those dugouts. So we were able to dig out in front of those dugouts and build a retention wall there, and Scott Perozzi did a phenomenal job with some landscaping pavers. I guess they're called pavers, landscaping bricks. And so we built those walls back up. We've got the water directed much better where it needs to be, and then we did have a new fence, a backstop put in. So long story short, that was a project on one field. Mr. Hinkle had inquired about the number of how often we use the field. I wanted to let you know we did our research. We have 174 uses, and this is broken down into both youth and adult and non-city sponsored events. But on those fields, through the year, we have 174 separate either practices or games. Obviously, we're not out there in the middle of winter, so you can knock out those. But again, that's with youth, adult, and then we have non-city sponsored groups that use those fields, like Special Olympics uses it to practice. We have lots of squadrons that will come out there and do a picnic, and that includes basically all of the rentals for the year of 2015, Amanda? Okay. And so when you take that and you do an estimate, obviously each team has a different number, but we basically have an estimate of 3,456 patrons that have utilized those fields just in the past year. So he had asked for information regarding the use of that, and this is that as best as I can tell. The cost of the project that I just referred to, in-house, for labor, not for labor, I apologize, for supplies and equipment is about $6,500 on what that project cost. It is, it does include the new purchases of like the fence that we put in, but it also includes a portion of what we would have put in anyway, which is our clay. Hopefully that'll be less clay, less brick chips, and those sort of things. So some of those purchases were reoccurring, but we did put in drainage and some backfill and the paver. So, okay. Yeah, any questions on that? Go ahead.
I want to hop on that real quickly, because what that also does for us is it's less maintenance.
It's less maintenance.
You know, we're spending a lot of times pulling dirt back on a field that potentially moving forward, we're not going to spend that time. That's generally, yes, we have equipment, but a lot of this is labor-driven sort of work that eats time up. I do want to mention one more quick thing. The Beirut Memorial Grove, or the Beirut Grove, the city did receive a check recently from the Department of Transportation for a little over $163,000. That is the cost that the park staff, when it reinvented the site with the trees, with the grass, with the roses, and doing some of that work, which includes labor and all. We were fully funded for that from the Department of Transportation. I'm real happy about that. many thanks go out to people like Anthony Prince, who worked hand in hand with DOT to ensure that we were able to get the funding. Obviously, the management team and council for having the faith in us to do the job. And the good news right now is that all the roses are still alive. There are 650 of them, and the trees are starting to bud up. Now, we're probably a month away from starting to see them bloom a little bit, but right now, and we do expect to lose some trees out there. That would be abnormal if we didn't. But at this point in time, things look good. So just thought you might be made aware of that.
Any questions on either this or anything else I mentioned? Project-wise, obviously, we have a lot going on, so. Any thoughts, any questions?
You have to mind about the splash pad, so I noticed they're out there working on it.
They're working. Their total contract was like turnkey, a 45-day contract, so we anticipate definitely by the end of April. That gives us several weeks to get all of our permits and our ducks in a row and signage and kind of get in there from a staff standpoint and do what we need to do. But
Now, you had mentioned that some staff had to get certified. Is there going to be maintained staff there all the time it's open?
no, it's not a supervised location,
Okay, just wanna
but
make sure
obviously
it's-
we have a rec center there.
Right.
So we will have staff at the rec center, and then obviously Parks is there. There, a couple of his folks are housed out of that location. So there's staff on site, but it is not a supervised facility. It is basically open.
Right. you go
Open
there.
and free, and you basically come and go like you would a playground,
And the
essentially.
important part of the certifications are to check the water levels
Right,
to make
okay.
sure that we're meeting the standards of those.
And then will there be like an emergency call box there in case something crazy happens?
We're not required to have one, but there is one at the rec center.
Okay.
There's a phone that people can use. Hopefully, it's not a need, it's a requirement on a pool facility.
Right, okay.
But in this instance, we've been told it's not necessarily a requirement for a splash pad.
Susan, it may have been mentioned in the past, but the splash pad, will there be some type of a sign there with usage recommendations?
Yeah.
And for an emergency, see the attendant in the
Yes.
Chris Street?
We're working through all of what we want our signage to have,
Different area.
no, a lot of it will be similar to our park signage, no glass, obviously, we want to address. So yes, we're working through what exactly it's going to look and sound like, but yes, sir, absolutely. Good questions, anything else? Be happy to answer.
Okay, the Planning Advisory Board Liaison Report.
Well, what started as a rather short meeting a couple of weeks ago turned into a discussion on whether the city should allow LED billboards. And so as a result of that discussion back and forth, we've scheduled a workshop. So we're going to be discussing whether times have changed and whether we might, want to have some fancier billboards. We've seen some on Piney Green. You've seen, I think if you've gone to Swansboro, you've seen one on 24. And some people are of the opinion that, it may portray us in a more positive light. And then there's also some statement about maybe some of the billboard companies would swap some of the billboards they have, 2-for-1 or 3-for-1 for the ability to put up something a little fancier. So I just want to get them when they go on auction later because it'll make one really big screen TV. But that's it.
Council Liaison Report.
Thank you. 3 things. One about the LED billboards. The issue of amending the ordinance did come before us at the last council meeting, and for the time being, because the way the law changed, there was a case that said that if something is not mentioned in your ordinance, then it is allowable. So that was not the concept that we were operating on all these years when we do ordinances. Usually it would have to be specifically defined and mentioned for a particular zone or what have you. And if it weren't, then you couldn't do it. So case law changed that, so we tried to adjust, and we did adopt the ordinance for now that we will not allow it, but the intent is to get with planning, get with the industry, and come up with some standards. And so we do have the intent of there being those at some point, just in a way that we feel comfortable with. Georgetown had a chance to see the paving the asphalt. Really nice job, particularly at the first entrance, the way they designed the asphalt to go to the street. Really good job there. And it's particularly satisfying because we, several years ago, talked about the concept, and that was to have a trail with the outdoor workout equipment. And it's really good to see when you can go from concept to reality. And this also benefits the Georgetown community because the eastern part of the neighborhood can now get to the western part of Georgetown Road without trying to negotiate that really dangerous, the two L's, those 90-degree curves, and really no place to walk. You know, it's a miracle we haven't had more pedestrian casualties right there with people walking, but we did have a lot of car accidents, people trying to straighten out that curve. So that's good. We can get the pedestrians off that, and they can just cut right through there. It's very good. One thing, and I don't know if they're finished, you mentioned they might not be. There are a few low spots, and I don't know if, because water was standing, you couldn't walk the whole thing. If that's a drainage landscaping issue or asphalt.
We've actually, that's a great point. We've talked with engineering about that, and they aren't finished yet, and those are things that we need to have remedied moving forward before they'll sign off on the trail being finished.
Good, good. And I know you're going to do your reports, but I think later when you do your reports on the park, Georgetown is vacant, so I'll go ahead and comment about Georgetown. I don't think there's a soap dispenser in the men's. I didn't look in the women's. And the water fountain, nice, cool water. But two of the boats on one side of it are loose and it rocks. The thing rocks. And so we could just tighten
It's a new water ride.
I think I heard the kids use it like that. So, and then George, with the marina, last thing, I have to apologize to the gentleman here, and hopefully they'll make some comments towards the end of the meeting. But they said 5 o'clock, I said 6 o'clock. And so they showed up a little late. Well, on time for this meeting. But the fishermen and these gentlemen, they're more knowledgeable than I am. They're down there more often. But had expressed to me the concern about improving the pier. That was a real big thing, improving the pier. And I think some of the concepts that we have talked about includes that. The other thing which we've talked about too was restroom access. And because it changes when there's use and children in the building. But having something located down in this area of the marina, I think, was pleasing to their ears when we talked about that. So when at the 5 o'clock meeting, was it televised?
It was not.
It was not. Were there any, did you all do any design presentations, or it's just?
We did, that we have this back on the wall over there. That's the latest design we have. What we showed them on the presentation was that phase 1 is everything over the water.
Oh, good.
Right there. So everything over the water. We emphasize that, that's the bulkhead, the boardwalk, the fishing, the.
For the audience, TV audience, could you kind of point it out as you speak?
Right here. Oh, yes, thank you. It's basically, all of this is phase 1.
Okay.
This will be what we're going to apply for in our first round of grants. So part of which is our Parks and Recreation Trust Fund will be phase 1, and then our matching that with our CAMA grant, which will include a pump out station and some transient slips. So all of those grants will go to support everything out over the water, which is bulkhead, boardwalk, the fishing pier, right here with one side fishing and the other is a covered gazebo. And then obviously all of those boat slips needs to be completely rebuilt from scratch. So these are our large boat slips. These are our smaller boat slips. And then right here is our kayak and canoe launch that will be part of the grant application as well.
Now, the design that you have up there that has the Kerr Street remaining open, or does it?
The Kerr Street, the rec center is up there, but we wouldn't change anything with that right now. So no, that's open.
Okay, I mean the street.
The street, this will, to be honest with you, this is all conceptual.
know.
Everything from here out is conceptual. It does show that it's closed on this
Okay,
one because that's
okay.
one idea that's been brought up. It shows that a proposed walk, going and closing that road as a proposed walk.
And identify some of the elements, the other
So-
elements that are there.
Moving forward, and again, this is all very fluid, but some of the things we've discussed, we want it to be open, we want it to be aesthetically pleasing, we want it to be a passive park so that people can really just enjoy the greenery and the water access and those sort of things. So keeping that in mind, we have a couple of shelters, picnic shelters. So picnic shelters could include everything from, obviously restrooms to maybe a concession area so that you can, maybe if you're on your boat, buy an ice cream. Again, all very fluid, conceptual at this point. So a couple of shelters, gazebos, picnic areas, and then you see all the walkways, a redesigned parking lot, and then this could potentially be a splash pad. Obviously, we have some things we will learn from in the new one that we have at Jack Amyette, but we want to, see how that goes, and if it's something that the city wants to move forward in, it might be a nice area down there. There will be lots of property. It's hard to imagine looking at this, but the buildings that are there now, when you remove those, it's a very nice piece of property that we can leverage and hopefully take advantage of. So obviously a splash pad, and then this is somewhat in the same vicinity as our current playground. I think everybody here is aware of the fact that we try to resurface those playgrounds. We have it identified in our capital improvement projects. So it would be a matter of redeveloping that playground, adjusting it, and relooking at it. That's one of the reasons why ideally the road might be closed so that you don't have a playground right next to the road. But we had some feedback from citizens that, not necessarily in favor of that. So those are just a few of the concepts. We've gotten lots of feedback from other groups. We've talked with about 6 or 7 total. Everything from, zip lines to, lots of different ideas that people have given us for down there. Again, we are pretty far out from finalizing anything on this. What we told the group tonight was at least probably 3 years, 2 to 3 years. I think phase 1 is going to be a next several year project. Obviously, by the time we get grant funding awarded, council executed, and then bidding out, construction, you're looking at several years for that, and then we'll be prepared to, come back and get some ideas on everything over the land. Might have been a long answer to a short question.
No, it was great. We needed that, and like I was saying, since it wasn't televised earlier,
Right.
then it gives the
Absolutely.
viewers opportunity.
In line with his question, there on Kerr Street, was that a proposed 5-foot walk? Is that what that says?
Yeah, it's a sidewalk.
Right.
through
It's a
that area.
sidewalk, that would all that would be there.
Yeah.
It would be blocked off, like he says.
One of the
traffic
ideas
both
that
ways.
have been brought up was making it a walkway, yes, but making it so that emergency roads
Oh,
could go
okay.
through. So you'd have the bollers that could possibly come down, so emergency access could still get through there. So, that's one
Thank you.
idea. But yes.
Well, it seems right now that a lot of the discussion from your earlier session were about closing the road, and we have not made any decisions and wanted that input and need that input. One thing I will say is that if that road were closed, you still could access Riverwalk Crossing by just going Spargo Street. You just come around to Spargo Street, and it doesn't line up Spargo Street. It's a jog to the right, and then you just go back over, and you're right there. So it's sort of like going around the baseball field and not counterclockwise,
Right.
and not being able to go clockwise. But you can kind of still get it. I know it's a little more time involved, but what will probably go on will be some sort of balancing between the convenience of having the road open and the safety to the children that would be transgressing from Kerr Street to back and forth to that area. I must say that I'm not that familiar with the kids that use it during the summer, and I know that they do go back and forth, but we have the street is marked, and there's a crossing spot there, and we haven't had any incidents. So I'm sure that, like it's a balancing, and we'll try to do the best we can with any compromise and be able to work it to suit those interests.
Yeah, and I imagine, as we move forward and we have some canoes and kayak rentals down there, that we'll get a sense of, the traffic of more citizens utilizing the area. So obviously, we'll take all of what we learn in the next year or two and apply that to any changes.
And we're keeping the ball field, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
What I thought mentioned.
Very good job they did with that ball field.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. They do a great job. That one, and if you haven't been by Jack Emmy yet, obviously next to the splash pad, that field looks fabulous.
No, it's just pretty.
It
It's
is
awesome.
pretty.
Yeah, it is.
It's like
Just-
picture, it's like picture pretty.
It is pretty. Any other questions or any thoughts I should share on this one, or did I?
You did a good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, member comments, I have a few to start off with. I want to thank Susan and Michael for the for their presentation on the open hearing at 5 this afternoon. It was very informative, and everybody, I think, learned a lot, and I was well presented. We have two guests tonight. Glad to see. If you all would like to introduce yourselves and make a little comment, that'd be fine.
Or not.
Sir?
My name is Charles Jones. I live at Carolina Plantation. No comments. I should have been here for the first meeting, but somehow we got all twisted around here. But just from what I've seen, and there was some things that I wanted to ask about that. Part of the little pier that runs parallel, is that on this concept you're talking about tearing that down too?
No, the one that's currently there now.
Yeah.
At this point, we have not identified that one. We've identified some repairs and, doing some work, but it's not attached to this property per se. So in our grant funding, we've got to focus on this parcel itself. So it would be separate to this project.
However, in our CIP,
Yes.
it is identified in future years to do some work to that pier, make it a little bigger and more accessible as we move forward as a community.
And so you intend to just extend it out like it is at Wilson Bay, I think it is? Extend
Yes.
the little pier out?
Yes.
Now, if you're going to be launching boats from there, just on this concept, where would they go in at?
Well, and let me clarify on the boat launch, because that is an area that I probably should. Okay, I've got lots of little red lines here. So that is where the current ramp is. Our idea is to make this a passive park. We really are going to encourage, and we don't want a bunch of motorized boats going in there. It doesn't have the right setup for trailers and parking. The landing is a beautiful facility. We really want everybody to utilize that. So what we want you to do is bring your kayaks, bring your stand-up paddle boards, bring those things that are going to be a little bit less intrusive, and encourage those folks to make this a passive launch. So there is a ramp. It's a narrower ramp, and that is where we're going to be able to have people launch or put their kayaks in, I should say, not necessarily launch.
So it will not be used as a boat ramp.
Right.
Thank you.
The
Getting
boat
wordy.
slits there, where,
There-
it's just a concept. and
There
over-
are boats there now. The slips are available for rental as of right now. There are deep water slips, which we do have about, I want to say 4 to 5 big boats in there now, and then we have not very many smaller boats. We do have them on lease right now, so if anybody wants to, they certainly can. Obviously, when we go to construction time, we'll have to adjust for that, and they might have to relocate until we get them back in. But the idea is to have boat slips available for folks. We want to encourage them. One of the applications, grants we'll be applying for will encourage transient boaters. So people to come in for no less than 2 days, no more than 14, and try and bring some people to our community.
All right, thank you.
Sure, thank you.
I am Eddie Holder. I reside, my primary address is 106 Farm Trail. And y'all done an excellent job on this project and everything. And I had read in the paper where he was going to have a meeting tonight at 5 p.m. And I conveyed that down to the Church Street Park to someone today, and they said, no, it's 6. I went
I
on the
never
city
knew this
site, and the city site said 6, so I said 6 and everything.
Well, you get to be on TV now, so.
But since I've retired in 2010, that has been a home to me. And you're talking about, I arrived in Jacksonville in '81, and you're talking about how, go down to the park, you see very few people down there. But since 2010, I mean, it has, you got all kinds of people coming down there, family, and everything. And I meet down there every day with a group of retirees, and we just enjoy it. We do a lot of work. We police it. We clean up trash behind other people because we want you to know we appreciate it and everything. The only concern I had, I was told that they may make it a one-way road, not have the road go all the way through there. But looking at what you all going to do, even if you have to not have that road go out there, I'll get more for the park. So what you all are planning on doing, sometimes you have to sacrifice. I will be willing to sacrifice that just for all the beautification you're going to do and all the amenities that you're going to add and everything. And I just want to thank you all very much for what you're doing.
Thank you.
We certainly appreciate you keeping a lookout for the open Lincoln too. Thank you.
I want to know if you've really seen the gator down there.
No. Oh, yes. Last year there used to be one he thought he owned the place. he just went up and down, and there was a duck too. They used to go all up and down. They thought she owned the place too. But it's just a lot of fun.
We got gators.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. I
Thank
have
you.
a few additional comments. The Marine Corps Parade, I thought was very successful. I know y'all put in a lot of hard work, and it's very well done. The pickleball tournament, I had the pleasure of going there, and I got a chance to see Ron Holtzford, old buddy of mine, and saw Warren Musgrove, and I thought it was very professional. The judges, I thought, did an outstanding job, and I think a good time was had by all, and it was obviously very well organized, and y'all did great. And the last thing is the Business Expo. I could not believe the number of people were down there. Of course, when you got a lot of folks, guess what? You've got a lot of cars, and that was a problem. But it was the same day that they had a voting, and a lot of the parking lot was taken up by the vendors. So, but the year before this one, there weren't when we got there, there weren't very many, and this time it was packed. So judging from the people was a big success, but hopefully next year the park can be a little bit better. And but it was well attended, and it was very informative. Any other comments anyone would like to make?
Yeah, just the Marine Corps parade you guys did, that was phenomenal. So hats off to everybody that was involved with that. And forgive me, I can't remember the name of the road. Are we missing a flower pot up here by? Okay, we are.
Cheney Avenue?
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure. I was like, I know.
I'm gonna try and make it funny. Not only are we missing a flower pot there, but we did gain a bumper.
There you go.
Just leave it at that.
All right, I just wanted to make sure I was
You're
counting
very
right.
good.
I'm like, wait a
Good for
minute, that's
you.
not right.
You're right.
Other than that, that's all I had. I was worried about my flower pot. So I know I paid for it.
I'm glad Bill brought up the pickleball tournament. I went to my first pickleball tournament.
Yay.
And it was unique. And I was amazed at how competitive they were. It was funny to watch. It's an interesting sound. It sounds a lot like pins clicking the whole time. You hear this the whole time, and I'm going like, hey, that sounds like somebody clicking a pin. Yes. But if you've never been to one, you need to go to one, because I tell you what, it's amusing. Again, I thought it was very well run, and everybody that I saw there, they even though they were competitive, it seemed like they were genuinely having a good time.
That's the second annual one, right? Fourth. Okay.
For the fifth week, and then we tend to grow every year. This one had 147. And the nice thing is we did change the format this year. They came in on Thursday, played Friday, all day Friday, played all day Friday, all day Saturday, and we eliminated singles, but we opened it up on the facility up on Sundays just for open play and open rec. A whole bunch of people came back to play on Sunday. So it was just a nice indicator that they wanted to keep playing, and so while they were maybe checked out of a hotel, they wanted to come by and play some more. It's a very social activity, so they get to see people that are playing from not just North Carolina, but Virginia, South Carolina, Pennsylvania, New York, West Virginia, and they really enjoy being able to have a chance to talk and about the love of their sport.
It was very colorful. Everybody, you had a lot of
Shirts.
color because everybody had their own color shirts. The thing that surprised me is there was somebody selling pickles there.
And we gave out pickles. We gave away pickles.
Was that what it was?
We
You were
don't
giving
sell
away
them.
pickles.
Mount Olive is very generous. Mount Olive gives us a jar of pickles, and we think it's special for our patrons to come in. And while they're at a pickleball tournament, we think it's a neat giveaway to give them a jar of actual pickles from Mount Olive, the pickle company. So
I understand.
they give us stickers. They give away magnets and stickers that smell like pickles, and then a jar. Everybody gets a jar of pickles. Yeah. Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay. Park reports. Wooten Park looked great. I was there last Wednesday, I believe. The water fountain looks nice. Just didn't come out very strong. The water pressure's real weak. But it was well kept. There's a few bottles laying around. Picked those up. Restroom looked great. Very neat. And just hard to improve on something that looks that great. So it was really immaculate.
Thank you.
Okay, Lori?
Richard Ray and Jacksonville Commons always looks perfect, looks great. Jack Amiette, they're putting the splash pad in, but it doesn't seem like it's really stopping any traffic. People are still playing basketball. I just had one from the road. I noticed the trail that they made. Are they going to continue to use that, or is that done with? Because it seems like they have it blocked off now, the fence
Trail.
from the road
I don't think that's,
between the basketball courts.
I don't think that's a trail. What that was running a water
Water-
line.
Okay. Are they going to cover that all up, or are they
Yes.
still going to utilize that? Okay.
No, that they'll clean that up as we move forward with the splash pad.
Okay, I wasn't sure if they were still utilizing that for construction road or whatever. But other than that was it.
Okay, Homer?
We'll start with Phillips Park. For a park that's not a athletic facility for games, it is being used for practices a lot. The two times I went there, I saw two T-ball or coach pitch teams practicing, and then I came back later and saw a soccer team, I think it was, and they're practicing, and then a family was under the picnic shelter, and so I'm going like, I had to remind somebody that these were not made for, games, that we basically right now are just using them for practice facilities. But as it is right now, it seems to be working well, except for the occasional ball that rolls down toward the water. But that doesn't happen often. Sherwood Forest was clean. Did not see any problems with it. I didn't see anyone there. But at Branchwood, the two times I've been down there, especially like today, there were probably 10 people down there today and swinging on the swings, and a couple of families. It looked like they either had driven a car, because I saw the car parked at the end,
Right.
or they had driven some small tricycles. But I'm guessing the adults probably took the car and the kids took the tricycles. The only comment I have about that is that the bridge, I appreciate you getting rid of the graffiti, and I don't mean to come back on it again, but now it looks like the top rail of the bridge could probably use, some of the planks could be replaced.
Thank you.
They look like they're splintering off the edge and drying up really bad, and maybe if we can slap a couple on, replace them, then we can get a few more years out of it.
I would say that I don't think the bridge is needed, but as soon as I say that and we take it out, we'll have a river going down the middle and people will
Right.
not have a way to get to the other half. That's it for me.
Okay, Lauren?
Yes. Woodlands Park is fine. As I've said before, JASA takes care of the actual soccer fields. And the trail is, I mean, is what it is. Don't see any issues with it. Sturgeon City, I see where I'm assuming that some of your folks, Michael, have replaced many of the boards in the boardwalks, and I know that's an ongoing process.
Yes, sir.
As Homer alluded to with some of the railings there, it's the same issue anytime you've got that wood over a long period of time. So, the trail from 17 to the main gate, it's been about a week since I've been all the way on it, but it was fine at that particular point. That's all I have to.
Okay, thank you. Jim?
Yeah, Steve's not here, but I was over at Northeast Creek Park a couple of times last month, at the boat ramp. And you wouldn't believe how popular that area is, especially around lunchtime. People go down there in the park and just kind of sit in their car or go and walk along the boardwalk from 11 to 1. So I know that wasn't the recreational usage you're talking about, but people go over there for just the ambiance of the area. Okay, Brook Valley. I was over there Saturday. There was one family, a couple and their kids were in the playground playing it. It looked good. It had been policed up recently. I mentioned to Mike that the trash can on the other end of the power line trail, when you get over by the Gruber Bridge, it's missing its lid. And I think I made the joke that, you know, it's popular to steal stop signs and put in your dorm room. Somebody's got a trash can lid in their dorm room someplace. So I'm sure that's where it is. I stopped by Northwoods on the way here this evening, about 4:30. I talked to Adam. He had 10 or 12 kids out there. They were all outside, but it's a beautiful day. And he said no problems. Everything's going fine over there. I had a walk around. I didn't notice anything unusual. That's it, Bill.
Okay, thank you.
Bill, let me just add
Yes, sir.
briefly. I know Jim mentioned about the folks that go and just park at lunch or whatever. I noticed the very same thing at both Wilson Bay and occasionally at Sturgeon City as well. I mean, they just, like he says, it's just going, just a quiet moment, or 30 minutes or whatever, you know, and many, I've seen several. So it's not just an occasional thing. So I just wanted to add that.
Okay, any other comments? Anything at all? Want to thank Amanda for all her hard work
Yes.
behind the scenes.
I think so.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Talking about the park, down at Willingham Riverfront, put another trash can out there, that's nice. But is there anything you could put out there for the cigarette butts? They're all over the place.
Yeah.
We can put
Just a thought.
we can put one of the cigarette butt dispensers down there by all means.
Hopefully people will.
That's an ongoing concern for us as we move forward through the city everywhere. I just want you to know it's not just there, but we can definitely put a dispenser down there.
Today I was there looking in, God.
And we'll try to encourage them to.
Yes.
Put it there, one
Well,
thing.
what we
That's
may
part-
do is
that's part-
in the short term, put a bucket of sand down there, if you will help police that with us.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we'll obviously,
We
we have
already
staff.
wanted, we pick it up.
My assumption is that you've met Phil, one of our lead staff members down there. If you haven't, I will make sure he.
Philip Arnold?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll talk to him about that and move forward. Thank you for the feedback, though.
Any other comments? Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you all.
And thank you all very
And you
much.
got to